Okay, welcome back for this week's episode of the Healthy Podcast with Rachel and myself. We're so glad you're here today. We want to talk a little bit in honor of Nutrition Month and yesterday actually being National Dietitians Day, I believe. What should you eat? So first of all, let's give huge props to Rachel, our dietitian, because she is awesome and has some huge insights for us today. And we just want to bring to you some really practical things about what you should eat and what does that look like. So, welcome.
Thanks. This is going to be fun. Obviously, Nutrition Month is a fun month for me. I get to dive into a lot of hot topics. And I think one way to open this title of the podcast, What Should You Eat, is to understand the foundation of it all, right? Like, what is health? What does healthy look like? And at any given time, you can read a definition, jump on social media, get advice from some health coach or friend telling you what you should be doing or what worked for them. So
Yes.
I think it's important to understand that health for me is going to be different for health for somebody else, right? So I think the old school definition of health is the absence of injury and disease. That's how you classify being healthy. So quite frankly, if I'm not injured and I have no disease, does that really make me healthy?
Oh, that is such a good one, right? Because I think we've become such an unhealthy society that's the baseline, right? Like that's what we classify this as. And I'm with you. Like that doesn't mean I'm healthy and thriving.
No.
There's so much more I want from my life than just to not be sick. So,
So it's really an umbrella term, right? Like we're
yes.
looking at this as what does health really mean? And this is going to be a segue into what should we eat, but are we eating healthy? What does that look like for us? Are we exercising daily? Are we getting that kind of universal guideline of 150 minutes per week of exercise? Are we sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night? Is our mental health good? Do we have healthy relationships? These are all factors that play into overall health. So
Yes.
a lot of people think it is just what you eat. Although I am biased, I do believe that being food forward is how the body functions, how
Sure.
cells operate, how muscles turn over and synthesize, how we prevent disease, where our energy's at, how we sleep, our hormone balance. All of it starts with what we eat. So
Right.
as we
Food
dive,
is that medicine for our body, right? So, I mean, there's so many medications we can get for being unhealthy, but when we talk about health or even getting to health, food is really that medicine. That's what we had before we had medicine, right? And not that there isn't a place for medicine, but being able to eat a healthy diet and contribute the right things to communicate the right stuff to your body, like you just said, is such an important piece of that whole picture.
and it's also, Jenny, the least invasive thing we can do,
Right.
right? So why not kind of reframe how we all should be looking at the best way to prevent disease, the best way to treat ourselves, the best way to optimize health and thrive at all levels and all years of our life, as simple as let's change what we put in our mouths,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the idea behind this is let's avoid the invasive stuff. Let's prevent the disease that requires invasive treatment or invasive
Right.
surgeries. And sometimes the catalyst and the motivator doesn't happen until there's fear, right? So
Or
it's
pain,
reframing
right?
or
Yeah.
pain or
Yeah.
injury.
Right.
Like those
Something that is a pain point in your life that says, okay, now I need to make this change. Yeah, 100%.
some symptoms I think worth recognizing, and you see this in your practice all the time, Jenny, I'm sure, is are you waking up fatigued? Are you fatigued all day long? Do you not have energy to run with your kids and play with them and be active with them? Do you not have energy to move your own body in a healthy way? Do
Right.
you not have energy to make meals or grocery shop? Are
Do you
you moving
not have any sex drive left at the end of the day? That is an unhealthy
libido?
thing for most people. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into that, but that is a big component of health.
Exactly. So symptoms such as that, like your sleep, your energy, your hormones, your mood, are all things and red flags to say, am I the healthiest that I can be because I'm suffering from these symptoms? So no, you don't
Yeah.
have to be injured or have a disease. These symptoms are the precursors for all of those injuries and diseases that we need to be aware of to prevent,
Yeah.
right?
So here's the hard part, right? Is we read what should you eat, and it's the perimeter of the grocery store, and eat organic, and you see these stars that are eating these amazing looking meals, right? But nobody's meal prepping for you, and you're a full-time mom, and you are running between soccer practice and work and home and bedtime, and the reality is that doesn't always work, right? So let's get really real about how do we do that? How do we go from this fast food, fast paced lifestyle we're in to a more optimal health? What do we need to do to start?
I think number one is being realistic with what you're able to offer your family and yourself, and setting really realistic goals. Measurable, short-term realistic goals is going to be key to success with changing.
Yeah.
So, as a dietitian, I don't expect my patients to go out and all of a sudden buy all grass-fed meat, wild seafood, whole foods, and just go right in the kitchen and start cooking and preparing their kids and families snacks and meals for the next week.
Yeah.
Not realistic. And quite frankly, I don't do that either. Like,
Well,
I'm
and
a
to
big
add to
mom.
that, if you're still buying packaged and processed, like I think, people get so hung up on like organic and grass fed, right? But it's like if you're still eating 50% packaged and processed, like you're negating all of that extra that might be extra spent anyway, right? So, like, and I'm also not a whole cook in the kitchen food mom, but I think just being realistic about, like you said, what you can provide, but also like what's necessary. What are those steps you're at? Like, do you need to make that change right now?
Sure. Yeah. And I think if we were to say optimal and gold standard, where should we be
Yes.
at? Yeah, let's say optimal gold standard would be whole foods, not processed, limit your toxins,
Right.
be as clean as possible with the ingredients you put into your bodies. Sure, that's optimal. And that's always kind of the direction that you're looking to go.
Yeah.
But perfectionism is never the goal. So being realistic, going back to the foundation of behavior change and health changes, is making sure that it's accessible for you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that is really important because you will read things, you'll see things on social media that look nice, look pretty, look like a good idea. You need to ask yourself, am I able to do this? Is it appropriate for my lifestyle and my time?
Yeah. And I think you touched on this already, but health is in our definition, stress, life, all those things, right? And so if creating this plan for eating raises your stress level to here, you're doing it wrong, right? That's not going to help your longevity and health. We have to find something that is manageable, that does fit in your day and is realistic to start moving the needle in that direction of health.
A few things that you can do really easily, especially for longevity, is increasing certain macronutrients in your life. And it doesn't have to be anything where you're required to stay in the kitchen for long times. It can be convenient things you find in your grocery store that you're able to snack on and buy, such as increasing your protein take, right?
Right.
Intake, increasing your fiber and your healthy complex carbohydrates. And some people, to understand the difference, complex versus simple, carbohydrates is complex are all your whole grains, all the brown rice, multi-grain, whole wheat products. That's giving you more nutrients, it's giving you more fiber, vitamins and minerals. So it's the best bang for your buck, so to speak. The simple carbohydrates are your white pastas, your white rice, your white breads, not as nutrient dense. So if you're going to choose a bread for convenience, choose a bread that's more on the complex carbohydrate side versus the white bread. And if we're looking at increasing protein, maybe you don't have time to make chicken breast, but you could buy a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I love
some
that. I think protein is something that gets so underrated, right? When we look at things we've heard, low sugar, low fat, high fat diets, right? We talk about keto, that's such a trend right now. But the reality is protein has such a big impact on our ability to age and age well, right? When we talk
yes.
about muscle mass is protective of longevity. It's protective of developing several diseases. I mean, there's just so many things in that health needle that if we can move the needle up on how much muscle we have, and that will be a talk for PT month, we can talk about exercise. But I think that's such a critical piece, and not to downplay the others you just talked about, but for me, protein is something that I feel like most people overlook because it's just like, oh yeah, I got to have it. But the reality is most people like fiber are not getting enough.
Well, I was just going to say that you just took the words out of my mouth. The protein is one of those things that I initially push out of the gate, and we can get it in a multitude of ways that are convenient and accessible to most.
Yeah.
So the idea is to increase your protein, making sure you're eating protein at every meal. Really, if you can get it as a snack as well, that would be wonderful. And as we do age, we do lose muscle mass, and muscle mass protects us from risks of falling. There's a lot of cognitive ability and impairment that happens with low protein diets.
Yeah.
As we start to lose muscle mass, that also pulls from bones, which creates some bone density issues. So just for longevity purposes,
Yeah.
protein is the best bang for your buck. It
Yeah.
also keeps you fuller longer, making you snack less throughout the day. So
Absolutely.
win-win.
And it helps regulate blood sugar, which is such a problem when we talk about, chronic diseases in this country. So many of them come back to being blood sugar related. So, yep,
Well,
huge.
and carbohydrates are probably the number one macronutrient consumed in the American diet. So they taste good, they make us feel good at the time of eating them, but they don't make us feel so great after eating them. So if
Yeah.
you've ever experienced that 1 to 3 o'clock slump after you eat lunch, that's usually a sign that your blood sugar is being affected and not balanced throughout the day. So if you are eating carbohydrates, I always recommend adding some sort of protein or fiber with that
Yeah.
carbohydrate to help balance your blood sugar as well. So the longevity piece, yes, there's whole foods, really important. Eat your protein, eat your, the complex carbohydrates, and consume as much color as you possibly can in the day.
And you're not
And
talking about Skittles.
I am not, although they're delicious, it is not part of the healthy diet.
It is not the rainbow we're talking about.
It is not the rainbow we're talking about. But take all those flavors in Skittles and eat those real foods.
Yes.
So that's where you had brought up the perimeter of the grocery store. Some really good ways to buy and shop on a budget is if you are shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, you're getting all the foods like the fruits and vegetables, the proteins, the dairies, things like that. Shop on sale. Buy what's on sale that day. And that allows you to do a couple of things. Obviously, save money, but also have a variety of different foods this week or try new foods that you've never tried before. So
Yeah.
if mangoes are on sale and you've never had a mango, you could look up how to cut a mango, how to eat a mango. They're delicious if you haven't had one. And something great for you to try new.
Yeah.
It allows you to explore food and have variety.
Well, and I think the other thing you just touched on that's so important in our practice too is, that's a great way to bring your kids in the kitchen, right? If you've got picky eaters, getting a new food, learning how to cut it, touch it, feel it, is a great way to expose kids to different foods and different fruits and vegetables. And then the other thing when we're talking about eating the color is, yeah, maybe your son or daughter won't eat eggplant, but they'll eat grapes. And so again, that those are not the same, right? But they're both purple foods. We're getting some of the same nutrient panel that we would be wanting to get, making sure we get everything in our diet. Yes, we can work towards more vegetables, but eating the things that we enjoy, that we're going to get in, especially when we're talking about kids, is really important. And then it starts to grow their interest when we can expose them to new things.
And a lot of the symptoms that people experience start in the gut.
Yeah.
So the more color we eat, the more good, I call them gut bugs, so to speak, but gut microbiome that you're putting into your stomach. The healthier bacteria that happens and flourishes in your gut is going to support the symptoms that you are currently feeling,
Yeah.
or can help your mental health as well, or both, of course.
Yes.
So each color has a different purpose. Each color offers something different to your gut flora. So that's why I say eat as much color as you possibly can. So on top of eating the protein, the complex carbohydrates, and all of the color from the fruits and vegetables, yes, we're looking at that optimal, like gold star, eating whole foods. Do that when you can. And you're going to notice the more you try to achieve towards that gold star, your habits, your taste buds, your desire to eat those foods, your family's desire to eat those foods will change. Remember, it does take 12 to 15 times of trying foods to
Yes.
actually enjoy them and like them. So if you have little ones that you're trying to expose foods to, be patient, consistent, and kind around them. And for yourself too, like if you're trying this for the first time, try cooking these foods in different ways. Look up recipes, look up different ways of cooking them. Just if you go and buy broccoli and you don't love it the first time you cook it, buy it again and try cooking it a different way.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, so even for those of you who maybe aren't used to cooking at all, right? You're used to takeout every night. There are so many places now that do meal prepping for you. So
Mhm.
maybe it's not an all or nothing of I have to go from eating out every night to I've got to be, Betty Crocker in the kitchen and try these new recipes and not stressful for me. No, it's okay. I think there's even healthier options when it comes to, places to get food from that we've in busy seasons have ordered from several different places here in town that make great meals ahead of time. They drop them off convenient locations, sometimes at your house, or you can pick them up on your way home from work. And then you've got fresh food, not full of preservatives, not full of these inflammatory oils. And so again, we're just moving the needle in the right direction. And certainly, if cooking is not on your list right now, then those are another option too, I think, when we talk about what should you eat.
And setting those goals to be realistic. If it's a couple days a week that you want to cook in the house, to start from as you're making these transitions towards healthier eating, then pick a couple days that you're cooking from home, plan ahead for that. And the other days are going to be more convenient, like you finding a good restaurant for takeout or something where you can make the decision, is it, I'm going to get chicken, rice, and vegetables. I'm going to order salmon and baked potatoes. A lot of them will do family feasts too. So you can like get family size meals to pick up or deliver or however it works for you. I know some of the new meal service plans are actually preparing them in a family style big container and you just put it in the oven to warm up as well. So, and those get mailed to your door. So, the underlining message of all of this, what should we eat? It needs to be attainable, it needs to be realistic for you. The gold standard is, of course, eating whole foods and eating all the color and good, healthy grains. That should be the goal to work towards. But every day, just being mindful of the foods you're consuming, if they have nutrients in them, and if you're getting a lot of color. Your habits will change as the years go by if you stay consistent to this with you and yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that the other piece of this is you might be listening to this thinking, gosh, I don't react well to protein, or most protein doesn't like me, or I'm a vegetarian. What does that mean for me? Or I don't eat grains, that they've bothered me for years. And that we both live that life, right? For different reasons. So nothing is set in stone. There is no one size fits all. And if you're looking for a plan that works for you, the best thing you can do after moving the needle in this direction is find somebody who understands this. Find somebody who understands your personal genetics and gut health and underlying symptoms and lab values and all of those things and how they interplay together to help you optimize your health. And that's what we do, right? That's the whole reason our programs exist and why we want to serve our clients the way we do. So, we're here to be realistic. I think that's one of the things that sets us apart is that it isn't a all or nothing approach. It isn't a this is how you're going to be for the rest of your life. It's what are your goals and how do we help your health align with those? And so we're here to serve you for that as well. So if that sounds like something you're interested in learning more about, personalized to you, Rachel and I are both here for that as well.
Perfect. Great topic, great resources, and remember to eat your protein and veggies.
That's right. All right. Until next time, have a great day.
Bye.